thank you very much for coming out. I appreciate it. I guarantee you will learn something today. It gives me great pleasure to introduce one of our own, Dr. Stephen Sorr, who is highly recognized naturopathic physician who loves sharing his passion and expertise for living a healthy life, blending modern science and traditional wisdom. He holds faculty positions at ASU as a pre-health internship preceptor and teaches nutrition, anatomy, and physiology for yoga teaching training programs here in the Valley. He has been featured in the local news media as well as high-profile venues, speaking on both regenerative and functional medicine. Dr. Sorr is founder and medical director at Source of Health, as well as medical director for Bodify, the #1 cool sculpting boutique in the Southwest. He is alumni of Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine and Arizona State University. In addition to his medical career, he is a yoga instructor at the Village Health Club and a former Le Cordon Bleu trained chef. Dr. Sorr brings years of experience across many fields to the table when he approaches patient care and is proud to offer safe and effective solutions to common healthcare concerns without drugs or surgery. So let's give a nice warm welcome to one of our own, Dr. Sorr.
Thank you, everyone, so much for coming. Thank you, Joanna, for the wonderful introduction. It's really good to see all of you. Who has heard me speak before? Okay, so just a few of you. Excellent. And just to kind of get a little understanding of who's my audience, who's graduating this year? All right, fantastic. And who is in their first year? I'm going to go the other direction. I'm so glad you're here. Second years? Good. And third years? Awesome. So we got one from everyone, at least. Fantastic. So I was speaking with Joanna about how do I come down to the school and really give a very high-yield, powerful talk to help inspire you all to get out the gate and start running. There is a lot of whispering that goes around in the community of people not doing well, and the worst thing that you can do is get out the bat and just work at a job for a very low hourly when you have a medical degree. It's your degree, not somebody else's to be used or taken advantage of. Be very, very clear on that. So what I wanted to do is title the talk, How to Crush It in Naturopathic Medicine. Not like do okay, like how do you do really, really well? And I remember when I was in school, you have these kind of hopeful, peaceful dreams of a community and a world where it's all kumbaya and all of that. So how do we kind of live somewhere in the middle, and how do we understand what's going on? So I'm just going to come over here and show you a little bit. So this is my practice, Source of Health. I founded it back in 2014, the year I graduated, and opened the door officially in 2015. So in addition to Source of Health, I've created some other brands that have also expanded in their own right because just saying one practice just wasn't enough for me. I needed to do 6 times the amount of work. I'm not saying that you all need to do that. This is just what I do for fun. I've been down before and I showed this slide. This is up on my Instagram. I'll give you guys the handle at the end of the talk. This is a very important slide that everybody can use, no matter whether you're a doctor or a janitor or anything in between, okay? Purpose. In Japanese, this is called ikigai, and this is a Venn diagram, if you will. And what it's doing is it's looking at an overlap between what you really, really love to do, what you're really good at doing, what you're going to get paid for, and what the world needs. And I know because you're here in naturopathic medicine, what the world needs is a very high priority to you. But you also need to get paid because you cannot live in a van down by the river. If anybody knows that reference from Saturday Night Live, from the 90s, it was a very good time. You should go How to Live in a Van Down by the River. Don't be that guy, right? You want to have this overlap where you find this perfect balance for you right now. That's going to work for you. So you need to do some future forward casting in your mind's eye. And what I want to do is go through list by list. So if you don't know me already, I probably get a little bit sassy A lot of people like that, but if I offend any of you, I'm sorry and not sorry at the same time, okay? So say goodbye to the naturopathic bubble called Fantasy Island. Does anybody know what this is? Okay, 2 people in the room. Does anybody know who that is? Oh, I was so worried no one was going to know who Tattoo was. Yeah, Fantasy Island. Great. It was around the same time as like Gilligan's Island and I Dream a Genie and all that stuff. So I watched that growing up, like on Nick at Night. But yeah, so we have this kind of bubble that we live in medical school. Whenever you're in school, even when I was an undergrad, it's like it's not real world, it's not real life because you're in school. Like you're not getting paid to be here, you're paying to be here. It's like completely the opposite. So what I want to do is kind of show you how to say goodbye to this and then bring it into real life, all right? So I'm not going to do a lot of slides. I just wanted to kind of bullet point and we'll talk about them. I really, really want your input. I want you to ask questions. So kind of the key topics that I want you to understand on how to do really well is by understanding what your why is. Have you all done what your why is? Okay, Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, he's on YouTube. He's got a great book. It's called Start With Why. Excellent research. You don't have to get the book. You could just get the YouTube, quick download into your brain instead of, I'm sure you have other things to read or do, right? Yeah. So time is precious. You need to have business goals. Not personal goals, those are good too, but you need to have business goals because you're going into business, right? This is not like what house project you want to do or what you could do for your family. This is how to be successful and a productive member in society. So what are your business goals? And in order to know what your business goals are is really crucial. So what's your mission? What's your purpose? What are your core values that you're going to be able to bring into your practice? If you haven't done a business plan, you need to do one. And above a business plan, and what's so importantly integrated into business is marketing. Everything is marketing. You are being trained just the way a plumber and an electrician are being trained to do a trade, right? This is your trade. This is what you do. You do medicine. That is, once you have a patient in front of you, when you're doing a physical exam, doing a procedure or consultation or recommending or prescribing, whatever that is, that's what you're being trained to do. Nothing before or after that. So just that moment of time. So a lot of people that I've talked to is like, listen, I'm not a business owner. I don't know what to do. I just want to go to work, see patients, and go home. Good. That's that fantasy island. It doesn't happen. Because when you go home, you're still thinking about your patients, right? This is not clock in 9 to 5 and you're out the door. That's not what medicine is. And I know you don't want to do that. But when people say this to me, they sound defeated, right? And that term of defeat, I don't want you to just be in an MMJ clinic or being used by another provider to do an injection or anything like that. I've got a lot of other talks and soapboxes on that. So you're really here to do more than that. So don't think so small. Knowing who your target is. So one of the things that you can do in business is come up with your dream avatar, right? Not the movie The Avatar, but like who's your business avatar? So what does the perfect patient look like for you? One of the worst things you can do is say, I treat everyone. Don't do that. You don't treat everyone. Not everyone can afford you. Not everyone's going to like you. You just need the certain someone. So the more you can understand who your certain someone is, the better. Greg Jones, as everybody know, he graduated. He is a giant, like, athletic sports guy. Should stay in that zone. Like, that's he lives and breathes that, right? I think that there's, like, play to your strengths. Work with who your base is. So my background, obviously, is in yoga. I have a huge yoga community that I'm still a part of. That's a great pool because they're people that are like-minded with you, and they are going to know, like, and trust you a whole lot more. My hands were not meant for catching or throwing. Let's be honest, okay? I don't do well with the big football players and athletes. It's just not my vibe, right? But I know that about myself, so I know that about my target market. I'm not going and looking after, I'm the sports players, doctor to the stars. I don't do that. But if that's your thing, go for it and shine bright with it, right? If you want to help, the senior citizens up in Sun City, and if you want to do something with elderly care, that's wonderful. If you want to catch babies, that's wonderful. Just play to your strengths and know who your target market is, right? Does everybody know what a SWOT analysis is? You're about to Google and find out what that is. Very basic skill in business, and it helps you understand who your competition is and who's really out there in the market, because we live in a very saturated environment, right? There's a lot of naturopathic doctors here in Arizona because we have a large scope of practice. We have a school here. So it's easier to kind of just fall out from there. But if you're going to the middle of nowhere where there may or may not be a stoplight in that town, you have a very, very small section of people that you can be drawing from, right? So you have to get a little bit creative with that, because if there's only 3,000 people in the town, you're not going to be very busy, right? You have to have a larger pool of people that are going to be coming to see you, depending upon what you're doing, right? All right, so I think, what are your offerings? What are you going to be doing? So one of my physicians that works for me, she only does functional medicine. She only does consultations. She does pediatrics and a lot of women's medicine, but only consultation. She does not do any procedures whatsoever. So the only way that she's able to make money is by having somebody sit in the chair or over the phone and doing a time-based practice, right? She can have some supplement sales and all that, but it's all time-based. Versus me, I'm a little bit eclectic. I do, the consultations, but I do a lot of procedures as well, right? So they need to be in office. I cannot make my needle go through the phone. It doesn't work that way, right? So I do quite a bit of that. Hustle. There's great books on personal development, but hustle. You know how I knew I learned what hustle was? When I walk next to my friends, I'm always ahead of them. Everyone's like, slow down. I'm like, I feel like I'm not moving that fast. They're like, you walk faster than everybody else. I was at a conference last weekend with some of my classmates and then from the year just after me. And one of my friends, she's like, I remember being your secondary. And I was just getting started, right? And I said, okay, you ready? I walk fast. And she just saw my glutes firing as I'm going down the medical center, like going really, really fast. You have to hustle. You can't just relax into business. You have to get started and hit the ground running. So the goal of graduating is you have all the tools you need and the plan that you've already been developing to I just need that date where I can say, go. You're just waiting for that gun in the air just to fire, and you're ready to rock and roll. Everything is already planned out. You just need to launch. Do you feel ready right now to do that? First and second year is probably not. Third year, you're like, okay, I've seen a couple of patients. Fourth years, you're like, the senioritis. You're like, I just can't wait to get out. It's almost there, but I hope you're ready, right? A lot of other classmates of mine and people that I've spoken to, they just wait till they graduate before they go and find a job. Please don't do that. That's a big mistake. Don't wait until you graduate to go get a job. Oh, I need to take a break and relax and go on vacation. That's fine. Schedule that in, but have that ready to go when you're ready to do it. Don't wait until the end. That's procrastination, right? And a lot of people procrastinate. Why? Why do people procrastinate so much? Fear. Thank you very much. That was the perfect answer. You're moving in a place of fear versus love, and that's a huge mistake. But it's normal. It's called analysis or paralysis analysis, right? All right, the next part is branding. I have a particular strength in branding. I love doing graphic design. I love coming up with creative ideas. If you're not that person, please don't do it, right? So a really nice tip to do is find out what you suck at and hire that person who can do that for you. It will save you so much time and money. And if you think a cheap employee is expensive, big mistake. If you pay with bananas, you're going to get monkeys. You need to have somebody who's more talented and skilled in that particular area of the job than you are. Have them outshine you. My front desk is a godsend. Amazing. My hashtag is just call Tori. She's amazing. I could never do what she does, right? So learn where your strengths are as well as your own weaknesses and leverage those out. Really, really important. But branding is so much more. So much of this is branding. developing your own brand, the brand of you, especially in your first few years starting off. You can have a really cool fancy name of a clinic, but they're not going to go to the clinic. They're not going to the Mayo. Does anybody know the doctors in the Mayo? People are like, no, I just went to the Mayo. It's like the Wizard of Oz. You just went to Oz. Like, it didn't matter who you saw there, it's that you went to the Mayo, right? When you start off, you might not have that brand association. If you're doing your own private practice or going backward, it's just doctor and enter your name. That's your practice, right? So you need to develop that brand. I can go on for hours on each of these topics, but I just wanted to really make this concise for you, right? What are your delivery platforms? Are you seeing people in office, or are you seeing them through telemedicine? What ways are you doing this? What's your technology, right? Electronic medical records are really, really important for you to be able to chart accordingly, as well as everybody needs to write this down. It's called a CRM, a customer relationship management software. Okay, CRM. There's a lot of free ones, and then there's some expensive ones. Especially starting off, you don't need a very expensive machine or technology. You just need something that is going to be able to do the things that you need it to do. Every time you meet someone, ask for their email. You can build their database. If they're over 40, they check emails. If they're under 40, they check Instagram, right? So know your audience, going back to that question again, right? And then the last one, going solo versus joining a group. I think there's pros and cons to both of them. I think joining a group is a smarter decision, honestly, because to be able to put together all of these pieces all before you graduate and figuring out along the way, it's a lot of work, and not everyone's going to be able to have that strength and have that skill set and have that connection to be able to do so. So joining a group that really resonates with you, I think is important. You don't want to work at a job. Please don't work at a job. So what should you do? Start yesterday, Your time is such a valuable resource. You're all here in school, right? You've got a plethora of time, really. Everything is already mapped out for you. Show up here, take this test here. That's it. I mean, you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to exercise, you have to rest, you have to laugh, you have to do all of these other things in life balance, right? When you bring yourself, am I going at a good pace? Everyone doing okay so far? All right. So you bring yourself to the table when it comes to having an opportunity to join a practice, what type of asset are you? You just have a piece of paper right now. I don't have anything to show from on your first year, right? So building your CV and your resumes are very, very important. You're like, but I'm a doctor. I'm like, mm-hmm. So what? There's a lot of doctors out there. What makes you special? What makes you unique? So I have a thing called sweat equity versus the almighty dollar. Sweat equity is like, I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to learn with you. I'm not going to be able to bring a lot more else to the table, right? Are you saving a little nest egg to live off of for the first 6 months to a year? That's very hard to do, right? Get a second job. Just a real job, just a little one, a side hustle, until you can grow this one out if you're starting on your own, right? It's going to be a little bit hard to feed yourself. If you don't have a good support system in a community, it's going to be hard. I'm not trying to scare you, I'm trying to prepare you, right? This should motivate you, this should inspire you. This is not to scare you, this is called reality. Remember, Fantasy Island is going to be gone soon. So what are you going to be left with? All of your friends go away because they're busy doing their thing. It gets very lonely. When you stand there, or you're sitting at your desk, I don't recommend sitting, it's not good for you. Where are these patients coming from? I've got all this time, I did my chart note, okay, good. Now what? Are you going to be busy, or are you going to be productive? Huge discrepancy in that. So learn these skills now. You can practice them in school. School is a playground. Who is afraid of failing? Good. First attempt in learning. Fail, 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 10,000 times. And the 10,001, you'll succeed. Do you know who said that? Edison, yeah. You got it. Score. Right. You're all behind in business, every single one of you. You're never going to be able to catch up to somebody who's been in practice for 25 years. But you bring to the table something new. You have the most up-to-date research on what's out there. Our curriculum is progressive. You have no idea how I talk to people, and they know what naturopathic is now. They've heard of it. They might not know what it really means, but they've heard of it. It's not like what is that? That doesn't happen anymore, at least not here in town. When I was looking into naturopathic medicine, I had no idea what it was about. It just sounded good. I knew I didn't want to prescribe drugs or do surgery on people, but I knew I wanted to help people in this way. But then when I heard about naturopathic medicine, it said mind of a doctor and heart of a healer. That really resonated with me personally. I was teaching yoga. I'm like, oh, I'm such a healer, right? So I learned a little bit more, and I learned to live somewhere in the middle. Now what? Do your homework. You have a lot of work to do, everyone. A lot of work to do. School is so easy. Just pass your classes. If you're going for valedictorian, go for it. It's you. You're the gunner. You're the one who's going to just stand up on stage and you got valedictorian. Wonderful. That's a little career builder for you just starting off, but nobody really cares. Nobody really cares. I actually looked for a little bit more of a well-rounded experience. Like, do you have any social skills? Like, can you keep eye contact? Like, I don't know. I think that they have to be a little bit dynamic. You know, hire for personality and train for skill. You know, anybody can learn how to do anything, right? YouTube can teach you anything. How to fill in the blank. That's how Google's really propelled itself. Google owns YouTube. Does everybody know that? So have a YouTube channel. It's good. Get somewhere on social media. Oh, I don't like social media and the privacy. I'm like, great. Don't own your own business. Great. Yeah. Please be careful. Like, you have to know what you're getting into if you're interested in that, right? You're trying to build an empire for yourself, your progeny, everyone around you. You're trying to do really, really good things for the world, right? There's that life balance down there, right? If you're not sleeping, if you're not breathing, if you're not eating and you're wearing yourself out, that's not good. Nobody wants you to do that, to work yourself down to the bone. That's not going to be helpful, right? How many people have heard that medical school is the hardest thing you'll ever do? Oh, yeah. We had that like day one. Med school is the hardest thing you're ever going to do. I'm like, this was not the hardest thing I've ever done. Opening up my own business from scratch, scratching my head every single month of where people are going to be coming from and all of that, that makes your hair fall out more than anything else. Not like, oh, I've got to study what is the multiple choice answer. That's easy. You know, really learning about yourself and becoming a little bit more in yourself. That's how you crush it. Your confidence is going to shine. People can smell it off of you. They can look at you within a second whether you know, right? So in my practice, I do more of eclectic work. I do feel better, you know, on the naturopathic and functional side. I know that everybody has their opinion whether we're calling it naturopathic or functional. I think it's synonymous in its way. Naturopathic is the roots of functional medicine. It just is easier to understand what functional medicine is. It's medicine helps you function, right? So a little bit about vocabulary and what the target market is actually looking for. You know, if you look at keywords, are people typing in naturopathic medicine more than functional medicine? They're not. You know, if you want to do certification courses in IFM, so you can put that logo on your website, okay. If not, you're a doctor. You can say whatever you want, right? Just make sure that you're doing what's best for you in your target market, right? There's hustle hard again, right? Your future self will thank you. Any questions so far? This is where you want to ask me everything and try to pull as much information out of my brain in the remaining minutes as we possibly have. Go. Who's excited? Okay, who's nervous? Okay, a little bit of both? Yeah. Is this what you expect? Yes. Yes. So I'll answer that in the same way I do in the culinary world. I have people that always ask me, how do I know when the cake is done? How do I know when the turkey is done? When it's done, you just know. Like, you don't need the little timer to pop off, right? So a recipe is a guideline. Your business plan, your marketing plan is a guideline. You're trying to do these future projections of what your market's going to be like and how to scale and grow your company. Are you going to be making 6 figures or 7 figures in your first year? I mean, it's really up to how well you are as a business owner and how you can scale. You're not charging that much money. You can make $1 million if you want. It's just hard. It's actually just numbers, right? And when we talk about making $1 million, are we talking about take home or gross? Gross. You're collecting in revenue things that you've charged $1 million. There's a ton of costs in business, things that you can't even imagine. The numbers, just add a 0 or 2 to everything that you live in your personal life. It's a lot of money. So getting in business means you have to have some financial intelligence, right? Do you think you can go out to the bank and get a business loan? No way. You have no equity. You have no collateral. You're not worth anything. Financially. You're wonderful people. You're so valuable. But not anything on paper. So a bank's not going to trust you with that. You have nothing as collateral. What happens if you default on a $50,000 or $100,000 loan? You have nothing to show for it. They won't sign you. They won't allow that to happen, right? Buying equipment for your practice can be extremely expensive. I did not have all of the equipment in year 1 that I do now. It's through time and perseverance and being able to grow and scale. It takes time, it takes planning, and it takes financial history in order to get you to the next level, right? Yes? Sure. So yes, I did teach yoga while I was in school. It wasn't a full schedule, obviously, but I did teach. That was nothing to save up about. That's just like food and gas. I mean, you don't make $1 million as a yoga instructor, especially part-time. I did have some savings, and I continued to save as I went through school. So when I went to go open, I had something to do because I opened up my own practice right out the gate. A little ballsy, a little daring, I know. And it took some time to get things ready. I had a very large office that I had to furnish, a couch, a chair, a plant, artwork, all these things. You're like, do I really need to? Well, it can't be an empty room. It's uncomfortable, okay? And you don't want to go to the flea market and just get these weird, it can't look cheap. If people are spending money, this is a cash-based, practice that we're developing. Going through the insurance model, maybe. I mean, I guess there's options out there. I don't touch insurance. I mean, I still need to know my ICD-10 codes and procedure codes, but all that's pretty much in the computer system. So you just like auto type and it guesses it for you. It's really quick. So you'll get a little bit smoother on that. But your financial ability to make purchases is very difficult when you start off. That's why starting your own practice is really, really hard to do. And I don't recommend it for a lot of people. Joining a group or a practice that already has it all there, you just got to go. I mean, that's easy, and hopefully you don't just like go there for a year and then go to another place for a year. And that's really hard for patient care. You're like, oh, I'm here this week and then next week I'm moving. And that doesn't feel good to a patient. I mean, circumstances happen. But find a place that you want to sink some roots down into. I think that that's really important to do. Does that make sense? So joining a group is important. I think it's worth it when it comes to actually talking about some business and talking about some dollars. Well, do you want to just rent a room somewhere? That doesn't work. It really doesn't. It's extremely expensive. It's called cost of doing business. To have the front desk, to have the website, to have the furnishings, to have all of the facilities and the full service there, it's worth it, because remember, those things that you suck at, don't Don't try to do that part. It's already done for you. Just do what you excel at. Seeing patients, right? Does that answer your question? Good. More. Yes. Sure. Sure. Yeah. Gotcha. I love the waste of money one. I could have set a house on fire. So to answer your question first, you have your in-house and then your out-of-house, right? Things that you don't need on a regular basis. You need a great accountant. I've got one. You need a lawyer. I've got one. You need a landscaper. I've got one. Having your referral network is so important. Who do you turn to for this, that, and the other? Again, the things that you suck at, right? If you're going to be in an office where it's just you, who's going to replace your light bulb when it flickers? Who do you call for those kind of things? What if there's a leak in the roof? Like, what do you, those kind of things. But for business purposes, I think your legal side is important. You should have a conversation with a lawyer that understands medicine, and especially in our field, what a cash-based practice is. How do you know how much to charge what you're worth? What are you worth? People are like, oh, like $99 for a visit? I'm like, really? You spent an hour of your time for $100. A massage therapist charges more. It's not okay. Again, you can't live in a van down by the river and help the people that you're looking to help at, right? Unless you work hours and hours and hours and hours, and then your life is out of balance. Does that make sense? So I think to answer your question, you need to understand a little bit more about business to be able to answer that. But the people that you rely on out of service, that's where referral networking comes in. So I'll bring in a name that you all should look into as far as who to turn to. It's called BNI, okay, Business Networking International. Anywhere you go around the country or around the world, there is a BNI group. And in that group, you have one of everybody. And if they're not in that group, you can search the other groups. These are people that are trusted. They are within a group. And you know who to turn to for random things. I listen to patients telling me about stuff, and I'm like, do you have mold in your house? You got to talk to my AC guy. He's going to take a look at it. I don't need like an environmental health specialist to come in and like raid your house. Have the AC guy take a look and make sure it's all good, right? What about the pool? And is your pool like the chemicals? Call your pool guy. I know somebody to trust. So I wanted to kind of expand upon that answer a little bit past the simple things of business, right? Knowing your lawyer and your accountant. That's really all you need, right? If you're doing something where you need a virtual assistant, there's companies that'll answer your phone all for you. You just train them. Again, you have to train them on what to say and how to get people booked and all that. A lot of things are happening now online with social media. I don't know if you know about like swiping up on Instagram or the book now buttons and scheduling things. A lot of that is great if you're getting a haircut, but when it comes into HIPAA, you can't just like have your schedule ready to rock and roll. You have to kind of program things to your liking. Your second question as far as expenditures. I'm going to tell you my favorite waste of money. And I'll tell you why it's my favorite waste of money. So my very first year, I had an advertising company come over and they're like, hey, do you want to put an ad for your company on the shopping carts at the local grocery store? And I was like, oh my God, that's my grocery store. Of course I do. Like, yeah, let's do that. How much is it? They're like, oh. I'm like, all right, that's a lot of money, but I could do it. You know, I made it work and all of this, right? That year, I got one call on Christmas Eve. That's it. It didn't even turn out to do anything, but I got a call. So it did make the phone ring one time. But here's the best part. They've never taken it down. It was only supposed to be a one-year contract, right? It's still up there for 5 years. So the only people that know about it are the people that already know me. Like, Dr. Sorr, I go food shopping with you like every time I go to Safeway. It's great. It's the best waste of money ever. Whatever. I set that on fire. It's funny. It's just good, you know, food for thought. Advertising is money that you pay to directly influence a call or a sale, okay? Marketing are things that don't have a value dollar on them, but hopefully will come down the pipeline. Print media, like either magazines or newspapers or direct mailers or flyers, it depends on, again, what's your offering. Are you gonna give somebody a deal? Or you'd be like, come see a naturopathic doctor. People are like, why? It's not good enough. You gotta get a little bit more on that creative side on what you're doing for marketing purposes go, right? May I get sassy with you? Okay, good. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know, and it already happened today. So I got a huge flyer in the mail, a direct mail thing. It wasn't titled to me. It was to the previous owner of the place that I live at. I guess you have to be like over 50 to kind of get into the right target market for this direct mailer, because it's a scam stem cell seminar place, and they have all these different dates that you can go to these different hotel rooms, or they'll give you lunch or dinner. So I talked to them, I'm like, did you go for lunch or dinner? They're like, lunch. I'm like, go to Capitol Grill, they'll give you a nice steak dinner. Yeah, they're scamming people left and right. I'm so angry about this because they're not even doing stem cells, right? They're just doing amniotic fluid, just in and out the door. Like, yeah, 7 minutes, in and out the door, and $7,000 is a pretty normal price range that they're charging for that. $7,000 for little old granny who's got arthritis in her knees. No, you don't have to do anything about your life. Just one shot and your life, you'll be pain-free. All of this smoke that they're just blowing up these old people's, you know what? It's so immoral. It's so unethical. It's criminal. But there's no one able to say, you can't say that up there. It's freedom of speech, right? And then they get hooked into the sales funnel. They'll call you back. They'll call you back in a few days, in a week, 2 weeks, and then you're just in the system. It's called a click funnel, right? You could do these things easily. And there's companies every day that either call my office, email me, or put me right up on front of my Instagram or Facebook. How would you like 6 new clients this week for stem cells? They're just constantly bombarding because of algorithm technology. That's what I say when I say you don't know about business, you're behind. How many of you knew about this already? 2 or 3 people, okay? It's so bad out there that when you're going to help people, like, it's almost like a billboard. It might not even work for you, but people are at least hearing about stem cell. So everybody comes in, they're like, hey, I want stem cell. I'm like, and how quickly would you like them? Well, right now. Yeah. No, that's not how it works. What you have been told is a lie. Has a fragment of truth to it. But 1, they're not stem cells, and 2, it's way too much money, and you're going to just get ripped off and not be happy. Why should you participate in your health care? I mean, please. That's for the birds, right? Who has time for that? Good question, though. So that was my little sassy rant. That's all I do. It's not that bad. I just get really upset. So that's my Instagram handle. That's where I primarily do a lot of my communication, whether it's on my posts or it's on my Instagram stories, which is nice because I can get a little sassy, but it doesn't last forever, you know? So kind of having some balance with that. More questions. Business questions. How to crush it in medicine, business questions. Yes? Okay, so you're asking whether you should buy property or rent property. Again, you have no collateral. There's no skin in the game, so you won't qualify to buy a building. And depending upon where you're going, there isn't a lot of real estate property for commercial use here that's for purchase. Just the way that our city is planned out. You have residential, then you have a shopping center, and residential and shopping center. So they aren't like a freestanding building. Unless you go into like downtown Phoenix where, you know, they're trying to like gentrify an area and they change a building. So you have some options there. But I don't think you need to go to real estate school to do that. Leverage yourself out. Everybody knows a realtor. I've got a handful of really great ones. So that's a good question though. Yeah. So for myself, I've always taught. I still teach. I teach every Sunday mornings, but that's my community. I never, ever look at a paycheck from that. Because now it's like, I teach one class. Like it's not even like, it's like a tank of gas, you know? I don't really look at it that way. But I'm there, and I'm in the community. If you are just at home or at your office and not in your community, you're missing out big time. You have to get out there. Like, get out there. Don't sit. Get out there. Go and network and meet people. Find referral partners. So a referral partner is not somebody you're going to sell for, like, you want to come see me. It's like, no, I want the people you know. You send them to me, not me going right after you directly. Does that make sense? Why? Why does that work so well? Trust. You should come see me. Like, why should I come see you? You got to go see her. She's amazing. Done. Like yesterday it will happen. Just that 1 degree of separation builds trust. Very important. Great question. So networking, marketing, not network marketing, networking and marketing are very, very important for making your practice really successful. You could do health talks to a community or to like an assisted living home if you want like the older generation. If you're a mom, you have so much power because you have mom groups. If you're a woman, you have women business groups that are, I'm like, oh, they're killing it in these women's groups. I'm not in that circle. I can't get into that circle. But, you know, you do have your niche. You know, if you're going to like an impoverished neighborhood, nonprofit organizations, things that you can align with that really resonate with you. Who here wants to do consultation only? No procedures. I don't like physical medicine. I don't want to adjust. I don't want to inject. Consultation only. Gotcha. And tell me a little bit more about what you want to do from that consultation perspective. Who would be your area or clientele? Mental health. Perfect. Not a lot of procedures in mental health. However, there are some things out there that are very, very nice to do in office, like biofeedback or NLP or EMDR and all those things. So that's a procedure, if you will. It's a talk therapy. But again, doesn't have to be hands-on. You're in the room and, you know, counseling them. And a lot of that stuff can even be done telemedicine, right? That's nice. That gives you leverage. Do you know why that gives you leverage? Because you don't have to have a physical office. You can lay in bed and see patients. Don't sit. It's bad for you. You can lay down, go for a walk, or be anywhere around the world. So you want a technology, a platform that allows you to do that. That's really cool. There are expensive devices for whatever your niche is. I was just at a conference. They wanted $30,000 for this, like, you know, it's like a EEG machine, and you like play a little video game with your eyes, and you have to like train the eagle to fly through the ring, and really cool. I don't know if you need a $30,000 device for that, but it's there, it's available. So there's procedures, and then that comes with a cost, and you have to get a return on your investment, right? So, good. How about procedures? Who likes to inject? Yeah. Eventually. Okay, yeah, I mean, if you're not in clinical practice yet, if you're not in 3rd or 4th year, you don't touch needles. No. But stab lab. Like, I remember one of my best friends, he was so shaky. His hand was just shaking the whole time. I'm like, are you nervous? He's like, no. I'm like, don't touch needles. It's just not for you. You know? I have veins like that just for days. Everybody's like, do you want to be partners? I'm like, leave my veins alone. Right? I think that the procedures are really, really important, but I tell so many people, no, not yet. I really do, because when somebody comes in for a consultation, if they're referred over by their PCP, maybe it's already another naturopathic doctor that you work with, and they're saying, hey, go see this doctor to, you know, fix your shoulder or whatever that is. Yeah, don't take over their care. Don't like monopolize. That person just sent them over to you. Let them refer them back out. Do the treatment. I always recommend, you know, taking a look at your blood work just to make sure everything is okay so that you're cleared for a procedure, because that's called the right thing to do. Not like, come on in, and in 5 minutes you'll be out the door, and yeah, I'll take your money, you can pay on the way. Do you want to do 2 areas? You'll save 10%. slimy. Don't do that, right? Like that's the stuff that is out there right now. Don't commoditize yourself. Don't commoditize yourself, especially with your intellectual knowledge, right? I offer a complimentary consultation if I've never met the person. Why do I do that? I don't know what they look like. I don't know how they talk. I don't know if there's something else already out there, because you get to read non-verbally. I could speak to somebody on the phone, and I guess I have a nice phone voice. I could be very soothing and relaxing, but I don't want to. I can't tell you over the phone whether you're a candidate for stem cell injections, or whether you want to do hormones. I'm like, I gotta see what you look like. Like if you're gonna be one of those people that's gonna have an adverse event, and I haven't seen you yet, yeah, I want to get to know that. So it's a nice way to build trust and rapport. No cost to you. Just come meet me. If you don't like me, I don't want to work with you. Right? I also don't treat victims. It's one of my little things. I'm like, victim or warrior. We'll just start off there. I don't do victims. That's not my thing. I have people that are proactive. They want to do it. They want it. They get it. It's very simple. I've saved a lot of time. I don't bend over backwards. There's still going to be some people that need hand-holding. Thank goodness for Tori. She's amazing. She can kind of help and cajole them and make them okay. And then they're peaceful and calm when they come in, right? Especially if a woman's hormones are not balanced and they're coming in hot. Whew. It's scary. I'm like, whoa. I have this one guy, 28 years old. He was like 3 times my size. His testosterone was so high it could not be calculated. His estrogen was in the thousands. I'm like, you have more estrogen than a pregnant woman. He's like, every time I sweat, my skin hurts. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, every pore in my body is on fire when I sweat. I'm like, yeah, you're taking too much testosterone, And he's so happy now that he's cut that back and that I took care of him, But I met him for something completely unrelated to hormones. But it's by building some trust and rapport. So you have so much power in learning how to speak to people and communicate, but it's to the right person. Don't go directly in for a kill. Build trust and rapport. We call that low-hanging fruit. And then you can upsell, suggest, and guide. I learned upsell, suggest, and guide waiting on tables. I learned hospitality and restaurant management skills before I learned anything in medical. Because it's not about your medical knowledge, it's about your personal development in yourself. This is the upmost of personal development. You're not learning just to help yourself, you're learning to help others. That's huge. Balancing a checkbook, you could do that. I don't think you have to have a medical degree to be an accountant. You need an accounting degree. Some people are very good visual, some people are really great with spreadsheets. The more you know yourself, the better. Joanna is an excellent resource. If you have not met with her, Joanna, when did I come and see you? Starting what year? Year 1. Year 1 I started with my business in medical school. I started because I already knew what I wanted to do, and I needed the resource to be able to take that idea and generate it into reality. You have to start now, and I can't encourage you any more than while you're sitting in class. Dream about your avatar. Dream about that person. Dr. Walter Krinian, who just passed away, I remember him saying something wonderful. He's like, you're getting all this information, but it's like clothes on the floor. You have no one to hang it up on. You need a hanger, and that's a patient. And as you start building that, you're like, you know what? I had a patient just like you who came in with XYZ. What does that tell the patient sitting in front of you? I get you. You can trust me. I'm confident. I've done this before. Trust. So your first year, you don't really have a lot, but you do have 2 years of experience. Are you in your first year of practice? No, I've been seeing patients for 2 years. Yeah. When I was in clinical rotations, I brought my own patients in. I had one shift every quarter where it was my shift, pretty much. Every one of the patients, I went boom, 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 boom. I had like 4 patients every rotation just going through. Everyone's like, who wants to be Steven's secondary? Everyone's like, psh. I'm like, walk fast, hustle hard. You can do it. The only person stopping you is you, right? So I encourage you all to take at least a piece of this with you, okay? If you have any questions, you can DM me on there or send me an email, anything you like, all right? Thank you so much.